Hi, it's Lisa again from Wee Woolly Wonderfalls. In the last video, I left you crocheting round and round in circles to make a great big long tube for Henry's rubber ring. As you can see, we've carried on. It's now pretty long. It's all stuffed. And what we're going to do now is measure to see if it fits around Henry's tummy. So here's Henry. We're going to pop it around him. And what we're looking for is we want it to go all the way around, like so. If we can see. So it's all around the fattest part of his tummy. And we want it to meet. We don't want it really loose, don't want it really tight, just so it's easy to come on and off. Now that looks exactly the right size. If you're making one for another Wee Woolly, then you can simply measure it around their tummy and make, you know, all of them one if you want to. So that's ready. So I'm going to stuff the two ends quite firmly to make the join as least noticeable as possible. If you remember right the way through, we were stuffing it a bit like a soft marshmallow, not too, but we want plenty in that gap to make sure that it doesn't squeeze in, so it looks like it's been squashed. Now we need our needle. And what we're going to do first, actually, is there's our crochet and our crochet hook. I'm just taking it out to measure. So we're just going to do a slip stitch and fasten off. So a slip stitch is simply going into the next stitch under both sides of the V, grabbing the yarn and just pulling it through. Like so. We're going to snip off and leave a thread long enough so that we can sew the gap up. Here we are. Don't need it massive, but just long enough to make sure you can get all the way around. So I'm just going to pop that through that loop and pull it tight, and that makes sure it doesn't unravel. Now we're going to thread the end of our needle, the end of the wool onto our needle, like so. And then all we're going to do is simply sew the two ends together. The other end here, this is from when we started off our chain, so we'll get rid of that in a few minutes. So we're going to put the two together, and we should have the same number of stitches on each side pretty much. So all we're going to do is grab a stitch on the other end of the ring, like so. Pull it. Feels a little bit fiddly starting it getting together. And then we're just going to do a stitch on one. I'm going to go under there. I'm going to make it as least visible as possible. And then I'm going to go down the next one. So I've come up through this one, then I'm going to go down through the next one, and then hook the next stitch on here from the inside out. You can sew it together however you want. This is just quite a neat way of joining. So then we're going to go up through the next one and through there, like so. I'm just sewing them up. Down through the next one, through there. It's just the stitches then are pretty much on the inside, so then we can just gently gather it. You won't get it absolutely perfect with this. You will notice the join. What I tend to do is have the join at the side under his arm. If you have it at the front, it'll be very noticeable, but if you have it at the back, it can still be quite noticeable. So if you have it under his arm, I find it less so, but you can choose where to put your own. So we're going under that one, through that side. And then every few stitches, just gently pull it together. You don't want to pull it so tight that it pulls it really tight and puckers it. But then you don't want to, when you pull it like that, you want it to not come apart and have gaps. If it's like that, that's no good. We need to pull it a bit tighter. Just getting a balance. It is a bit tricky, this working in the circle. But just bear in mind it won't be perfect. If you get a bit of stuffing pull out, you can just pop that back with the end of some scissors or something else just to pop it back inside. So we're almost all the way around now. I'll just keep going, pop that stuffing in. If you think it's going a bit, oh, look at that, you know, it's a bit thin there, you can just pop a bit more stuffing in just to round it out. We're just trying to make sure that it's as even all the way around as we can. So I might need to pop a little bit in that gap just to pad it out a bit, because we just want it all round so it's pretty much all the same tension. So even if you're a neat sewer, I've tried this so many times, you can't get this perfect because you're just joining two sides. But just make it as neat as you can. So I'll go on the other side and come out through this one. The stuffing has a bit of a habit as well of trying to squeeze out and get in the way when you're sewing up. But we can just push any in. Push that in with the end of my crochet hook there. Tucking it out. Right. The main thing is have fun with this. And don't always aim for completely perfect. It's what gives them character. So now we're almost round to the other side. It's stuck out a little bit, so I'm just going to go over the top. Doing like that, pull that in. Right, there we go. I can just wiggle it about a bit to get it even. As I say, you are going to see your stitches on this, so it won't be perfect, but just do it as neatly as you can. And then what I'm going to do, because I don't just want to cut that off, I'm going to go in and out a couple of times. So I'm going to go in to the same space where my wool is coming out and come out somewhere random a bit further away through a gap, like through a hole between the stitches. And then I'll go back in where I came out and come out somewhere else. Like that. We'll do that a couple of times. And then what I'm going to do is pull this slightly so it's tight, clip it quite close, and then as I let go, the end will vanish inside. Now the end is all tangled up now inside in the stuffing, so it shouldn't come out. Now the other end, what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to simply thread it on my needle. This is the end from when we did the magic circle. So I'm just going to do the same with that. I'm going to push it in where it came out, come out somewhere else, in again and back out somewhere else. It's a great way of finishing anything that's stuffed. I do this when sewing on the limbs and things as well, because it just gives a nice neat finish and the end is nice and secure so it won't come undone. So there's our rubber ring. So you can notice it a bit, but don't worry too much. That's a pretty good ring. So now that should fit around Henry. Henry, where are you? He's eating the biscuits again. You know you're terrible, Henry. I know, look at his face. He doesn't look very happy now. He's been taking out the biscuit barrel. So there we go. So if we put his arm over it, if we keep that bit at the side, it's less noticeable. And there's his ring. So in the next video, we're going to make the little ducky head, like so, and sew that on. So we'll see you in the next video.